So as we all know, recently the Sword and Shield booster box market has taken off, and there's been a lot of attention on Sword and Shield. A lot of the craziness from Scarlet and Violet, all the attention that was given towards this era, has really moved to Sword and Shield. Everybody has been talking about it, but slowly behind the scenes, Scarlet and Violet has been making some moves, and some booster boxes have gone up. There's no insane price jumps that we've been seeing with Sword and Shield, but things are slowly moving up. And I think for some of these Scarlet Violet era booster boxes, specifically the older ones, maybe time to start picking them up because, if history does repeat and what we're seeing right now with Sword and Shield, the craziness, this stuff will probably eventually happen with Scarlet and Violet. And for some of these older Scarlet and Violet sets that are more unlikely to get reprinted, picking some up now probably wouldn't be the worst idea. So I'm going to go through all these Scarlet and Violet booster boxes just to see where their prices are at and where they may be moving here in the near future. So first here we have Scarlet and Violet base. Right now lowest listed is around 205. You can see just recently these have moved up from 190 all the way now to being lowest listed at 205. If you look at supply on the market, you can see there's not going to be any crazy price moves. Right now here on this first page it goes all the way to 210. On the next page it goes to 220. On the next page it goes to like 240. So yeah, it's not going to be any crazy like $50, $100 price moves like we're seeing with Sword and Shield. But if you look at sales volume stuff in the next few weeks, and especially with the sale that's going to be happening here soon, Scarlet Violet base may go up towards the mid 200s. So right now buying at 200 may not be the worst thing ever, especially that this is probably the booster box or the set out of all the Scarlet and Violet era sets that are probably 99.9% chance not going to get reprinted again. So there's that. Scarlet Violet base is moving up. Now next here, I made a whole separate video talking about Paldea Evolved, but these ones are seemingly going to hit $300 here very soon. You can see right now lowest listed is at 280. Look at sales volume, you can see there's a few days where a lot of boxes sold, and now boxes are at 280. When you look at supply on the market, you can see this is going to quickly go up to 300. So let's just count because this one is not that much. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15. Then we hit 300. So 15 boxes. Look at past sales volume past few days. Could just be a few days before this hits $300. So Paldea Evolved, I've actually checked online because I was looking to see if there's any boxes I could find maybe in the mid 200s, low 200s. There's basically none. I've checked pretty much everywhere, eBay, all these other websites. Can't find any. So Paldea Evolved, if you can find them for the mid 200s, low 200s, probably would be buying them because they are going to be hitting 300 here very soon. And Paldea Evolved has already gotten reprinted a couple times. The likelihood it gets reprinted again for a third time, I think, is kind of unlikely. So this may be a good pickup because Paldea Evolved is just a standout out of this era in terms of main sets. It's been a very strong performer. A lot of positive feedback from the set. A lot of people like it. I don't think there's really many people out there that say that this is a bad set. Has the Magic card, has the Raichu, has all these cards, Lapras, all these different cards that are popular Pokemon, and the artworks are just nice. There's a ton of IRs in here. Buying this box in the 200s, I think we're going to look back, and if similar stuff happens with this market a few years later, Paldea Evolved booster boxes may very well be $500-$600. So Paldea Evolved at this price point, it is the most expensive booster box in the Scarlet and Violet era, but it is also one of the best, and it's an older one. So this, out of all the other boxes, if you're going to buy like a newer one, for example like Surging or Destin, you might as well maybe just buy Paldea because this is very unlikely to get reprinted again, and it's one of the standout sets. Now next here is Obsidian Flames. Right now it's at 225. Look at the past few days, they have gone up a little bit from being at 210 to now being around 225. Look at the supply of the market. As you can see, it's the same thing with all these. You're not going to see any insane price jumps. Like there's a decent amount, but in due time, these will continue to go up towards the mid 200s. So if you can buy these in the low 200s, find some deals, maybe worth picking up. In my opinion, Obsidian Flames, out of all these boxes that I'm going to show you here, probably not one of my top choices, just because there's not that many. It is a Charizard set at the end of the day, but if you compare it to other sets and arts and stuff and the set size, like Obsidian Flames for the price, I feel like there's better options out there. But at 225. In the grand scheme of things, may not be the worst thing. These have gotten reprinted the same amount of times as Paldea Evolved. So likelihood this gets reprinted again is somewhat small. But like I said, even if it, I think just at its price point, there are better options out there. Now, the one I want to mention here specifically is Paradox Rift. So I've talked about this set. I've said that, compared to some other sets, I feel like it's not as good. I'm not saying it's bad. Like, don't get me wrong. Me saying that this set is not as good as others doesn't mean automatically it's a bad set. But there are some better sets out there. But Paradox still pretty strong. Has a Groudon, which may be the card that really carries it. Also has some nice other cards like the Iron Valiant, and there's some other ones too. It's a decent set. I'll just say this is a decent set. I've never said it was bad, but there are better ones. Personally, I don't have any Paradox Rift booster boxes, but I am contemplating on picking some up because right now lowest listed is at $210. I'm able to find some under that. I'm able to find them under 200 bucks. So I'm considering buying some because, this set hasn't gotten reprinted yet. It very well could be, but it's sort of unlikely. So buying a booster box at the price point I can buy it at is not that bad. And since I have literally zero of these, I've never bought a Paradox Rift booster box. Maybe my time to buy some. If I can get it for, like I said, under 200, I can actually find it for under 190. So, I'm thinking about buying some because I literally have zero, and I'm thinking, if this doesn't get reprinted again, I don't want to have zero of these. And the last time I didn't buy really much of a booster box, Fusion Strike, I only have 6 of them. They went crazy. So, do I think it's going to happen to Paradox? Like what's happened to Fusion? Kind of not. Like, I don't really think that's going to happen. But buying at under sub 200 at the point now that's above 210. I think it's not a bad idea. So I'm contemplating buying these. Like I said, I've never said it was a bad set, but there's better ones. But hey, at this point, seeing how some sets I've done with Sword and Shield, I don't want to miss out on any of them. So I may very well pick some of these up, and yeah, we'll see what happens. But these now are at 210 bucks. So you can see these have jumped up, as you can see, pretty drastically from being at 190 all the way now to lowest listed of $210. Now, if you look at supply, same thing as the other ones. They're not going to skyrocket, right? Like, these are going to see price moves, but it's going to be gradual, which is sort of normal. But yeah, these aren't going to see crazy movements, as you can see here, all these pages. It doesn't go crazy, but yeah, I think a lot of these boxes, especially the older ones, are probably the ones you probably want to buy. The next here, Temporal. So Temporal is at $205. Temporal in Paradox, I've always said it, Temporal I feel like still is the better set than Paradox. If I'm able to find Temporal Forces booster boxes for, sub 2, at this point, like, I'd probably want to be around like 180s or lower, which is probably going to be pretty hard to find. I'd be picking up still, like, Temporal I think is a decent pickup. It is newer than Paradox Rift. It hasn't also gotten reprinted like Paradox, so these still, Paradox and Temporal, they could get reprinted. It's very possible. It's not impossible, and anyone saying it's impossible is wrong because they can get reprinted. But it's more unlikely if Pokemon really does focus on the newer stuff. These may very well never get a reprint, but they also could. So it's all kind of all up in the air. But Temporal right now is at 205. Look at the past few days. You can see it has gone up. It's kind of been up and down here, but in the past few days, sales volume and everything has gone up. You can see there is a pattern in the past few days. Everything's been going up, Sword and Shield, and also Scarlet and Violet. If you look at supply here, it's the same thing with all the old ones. They're not going to skyrocket. It goes to 210 here. Next page, it goes to 225. Next page, it goes to 240. Kind of similar, I guess, amount of supply and stuff as the other boxes in similar movements. But yeah, Temporal, another one, probably not the worst buy ever. But yeah, it's kind of in a similar situation to Paradox. The next here, Twilight Masquerade. These recently did get reprinted. Right now, they're at 225. Look at the past month. It's actually still consistently gone up. It hasn't skyrocketed anything, but the reprint didn't do that much to the general, I guess, price movement. I guess here's kind of when it happened. Didn't do that much. It's already kind of recovered. So they're at 225. Now, Twilight definitely, I think, still could get reprinted more. However, the reprint, seeing how it was previously, wasn't that big. Buying Twilight may not be the worst thing ever, but it has gotten reprinted, and they may continue to reprint it because it is one of the more popular ones and has some more expensive cards, so it could happen. So this one is sort of, in my opinion, an iffy buy to buy it at this price point. Still, grand scheme of things, it's not terrible to buy at this price point, but it has gotten reprinted and they have gotten put attention to it, so could get reprinted again, who knows. But you can see here, next page, 235, next page, 250. So not crazy price movements. None of these are really going to see it in Scarlet and Violet, to be honest. But Twilight Masquerade's at 225 right now. In terms of buying it now, I feel like it's iffy. It's a good set, but it's newer. So at 225, you could be buying, Obsidian. You could be buying Base. You could be buying Paradox, Temporal for a little bit less. Those are safer options, but Twilight could be considered to be better set than some of those. The next here, Stellar. So Stellar is still at around low 200s at 205. You can see the past month, they have gone up like the other ones have in the past like few weeks. You can see the supply here. Same thing, doesn't really skyrocket or anything. It's kind of just slowly, gradually growing. There is a lot of supply of these Stellar Crown boxes versus the other ones. Sales run for these for the past few days has been sort of high. So Stellar Crown, at this point though, is a lot newer than the other ones. It's the seventh set. It hasn't gotten reprinted yet. This would probably be one where at its price point you'd probably want to go with like Paradox or Temporal or Scarlet Violet base, because this, in my opinion, probably will get reprinted just because it's a lot newer and it's just as expensive. So Stellar Crown, I don't think is probably the best buy out of all these boxes here. Now next, Surging Sparks. Surging Sparks has continued to go down. Right now it's at 235. You can see in the past month versus the other boxes, the price has consistently gone down. However, past few days, sales volume been kind of high, but I think Surging Sparks will continue to get probably reprinted. So I don't think Surging Sparks is probably a good buy, and really not much to talk about here. I mean, Surging Sparks, it's still consistently selling, but the hype and everything driving it has sort of left. And it being this new, it just probably is going to get reprinted again, and I don't really see the need to buy this at this price point. Probably just go for the older stuff. Now, lastly here we have Journeys Together. These are officially under $200. I don't know if Journey Together is really ever gonna recover here, at least soon. Journey Together, I think at this point with everything going up, we would maybe see some sort of light at the end of the tunnel for these, but sales volume has been consistently pretty low for being the newest main set. And they've just consistently gone down in price since being released. So really not much to say with Journey Together. I don't know when's the turning point for these, booster boxes and just the set in general, but we'll see. Maybe the sale that happens will do something and revive this. I don't think so. I don't know when will be the turning point for this box, but out of all these, this one has been seeing decreases, I guess, along with Surging Sparks. So that's all I want to show you guys here, just a little bit of overview of the Scarlet and Violet era booster boxes. They are seeing movements, a couple of them accepted, obviously, like Surging and Journey, but everything else has been slowly moving up. I would honestly be picking up, if I were you guys out there, probably the first 5 sets are probably pretty safe compared to all the other boxes. Personally, with me, like I said, maybe picking up some Paradox Rift here very soon, because I don't have any, and I can find them for under 190. So, but I think buying at that price point isn't the worst thing ever. They could still get reprinted. That's definitely still a possibility on the table, but it is more unlikely that Paradox gets reprinted versus some of these other newer sets. So that's all I want to say here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys have been picking any Scarlet and Violet booster boxes up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.